Imagine this. You're walking, and suddenly someone sneaks up behind you. Before you can even turn around, a sharp pain hits your stomach, like getting the wind knocked out of you. It's a knife, and you're too shocked to fight back as the attacker keeps stabbing you. When they finally stop, they just stand there, watching you, as you realize you're not going to make it. In your last moments, a sad thought crosses your mind. You'll never see your family again. They won't even know what happened to you. Because the person who did this to you has taken over your life, pretending to be you. Will anyone ever find out the truth about what happened? Can anyone solve the mystery of your brutal ending? This is the chilling case of Cari Farver. Her story shows us how some people can trick others in the worst ways, and how sometimes people don't see the real story behind the label of mental illness. 37-year-old Cari lived near the Council Bluffs, Iowa, the most populated city in the southwestern part of the state. She was a single mother raising her 14-year-old son, Max, who was her whole world. She worked as a computer programmer about an hour away from her home in Omaha, Nebraska. She had a close relationship with her parents and spoke with them often. When Cari was younger, she was diagnosed with bipolar disorder, but she didn't let her mental health condition ruin her life. Friends and family described her as a beautiful, confident, and free-spirited woman. Everyone was stunned when Cari sent a text message to her mother, Nancy, on November 13, 2012, saying, "I'm taking a job in another state. Take care of Max." No one would ever see Cari again. Before Cari disappeared, she'd started dating a man named Dave Krupa.
Cari Farver was originally a customer at my shop. She was very pretty, very confident, and she was super smart. Why she was attracted to me, I don't know. I'm a pretty mundane blue-collar guy, but we were on the same page. We were both just looking to go out and have a good time.
They met at the auto repair shop where Dave worked as a mechanic. The two hit it off right away and agreed upon having a casual relationship with no intentions of getting serious. Dave happened to live near Cari's job in Omaha, so we offered for her to stay at his apartment during the week to avoid the 2-hour commute from her home. During that time, Dave was involved in another casual relationship with a woman named Shauna Liz Golyar. On Dave's first date with Cari, he invited her back to his place. As Cari was leaving that evening, Liz happened to stop by to pay Dave a surprise visit. They both walked past each other and didn't say a word to one another. But it wasn't long after that encounter that Cari went missing. Dave met Liz on a dating website. They saw each other from time to time, but it was by no means heading in a serious direction.
Liz via online dating. We were on and off. She had 2 children who coincidentally were very close to the age of my son and daughter. She was sexy. She laughed a lot. She was a lot of fun.
Liz lived in Omaha with her 2 children. She had a lot in common with Dave, who also had 2 children around the same age. Dave ended things with the mother of his children, Amy Flora, a few months before he met Liz, but he was not ready to get involved in another serious relationship. Liz agreed to casual dating, and the two had been seeing each other on and off for 6 months before Cari came into the picture. Liz enjoyed the laid-back relationship she shared with Dave, at least until she began sharing him with another woman. After seeing Dave with Cari, Liz lost her mind. She couldn't stand to see him with another woman, and Liz was not going to allow someone to step in and steal her place in his life. She made the decision to give in to her dark impulses and kick off a sequence of events that would end with deadly consequences. On Tuesday morning, November 13, 2012, Liz waited outside Dave's apartment. She watched as Dave left for work around 6:30 a.m. and waited for Cari to do the same. As Cari left the apartment and headed toward her car, Liz followed close behind. In broad daylight, Liz kidnapped Cari. Then, she took Cari's keys and drove her to a nearby Walmart parking lot. After Liz pulled into a secluded parking lot, she began stabbing Cari in the stomach and chest. Her blood seeped into the seat cushions. When Liz was done, she took Cari's phone and keys and walked away, leaving Cari to bleed out. But Liz was far from done. Now, with Cari's phone in hand, she started the second phase of her plan. It wasn't enough for Liz to just kill Cari. She wanted to make sure Dave regretted ever meeting her. So, using Cari's phone, Liz sent Dave several very odd messages. If Liz wanted to keep up the appearance that Cari was alive, she was going to have to take it a step further. So she messaged Cari's mother, Nancy. Liz made her way back to Dave's apartment and took all of Cari's things with her. Then she went about her day, picking her kids up from school as if she hadn't just murdered a woman in cold blood. That night, Liz went back for Cari, expecting to find her lifeless body hunched over into the car. But she smiled, seeing that Cari was suffering and still clinging on to life. Cari begged and pleaded to be set free as she crawled away from Liz's car. But Liz wanted to finish Cari off once and for all. Liz cleaned up Cari's car and made sure not to leave any fingerprints behind. As Liz made her way back to the car, she saw Cari gasping for air, barely alive. She stood there for a moment, with a huge grin on her face, happy that she made Cari suffer all the way up to her last breath. Liz then packed up her car and stuffed Cari's body in the trunk. A couple of days later, Liz finally felt like dumping Cari's body. But she wanted a memento to remember how she had successfully eliminated her enemy. So she took a photo of Cari's decaying body. Then she drove Cari's body out to the woods, poured gasoline all over it, and lit it on fire. Not for one moment did Liz stop to consider the life she'd just taken, or the people forever affected by her selfish actions. She didn't care. All she wanted was Dave, all to herself. Afterward, she placed the scraps of Cari's body into garbage bags and tossed them into a dumpster. She had just gotten away with murdering Cari, but she still had to keep up appearances to make sure nobody started looking for her. Especially since she wasn't done ruining Cari's life. Liz had access to all Cari's contact and social media accounts. She used Cari's phone and pretended to have moved to Kansas for a job. Liz even posted on Cari's Facebook page regularly and messaged Cari's friends and family to make it seem like she was alive and well. She avoided talking on the phone, for obvious reasons, and always made excuses when people wanted to come see her. But this tactic did not work for long. Cari's mom, Nancy, knew her daughter would never abandon Max, and it didn't make sense for Cari to refuse to speak over the phone or in person. She knew something was wrong. But since Cari was at least sending text messages, Nancy didn't think it was time to call the police just yet. But after 3 days of the same excuses, Nancy couldn't take it anymore. She called the Potawatomi Sheriff's Office to report Cari missing. The police asked her questions about Cari, and she told them everything she knew, including Cari's struggle with bipolar disorder.
Nancy mentioned that Cari had been recently diagnosed with bipolar disorder. So the cop thought he knew exactly what had happened. Oh, he said, we see this all the time. Somebody stops taking their meds, and they go off the deep end.
It was obvious that the police were not going to take Cari's missing persons case seriously.
Getting a very urgent reaction from the police, and they just weren't concerned about it. A lot of people thought she'd just gone off her meds and she was, just went off the deep end and left. But I knew that that's not what happened.
Since the Potawatomi police were labeling Cari as a woman who went off her meds, her case was placed on the back burner. Now, there was nothing to stop Liz from using Cari to get closer to Dave. Every day, Liz blasted Dave's phone with crazy text messages and emails from Cari. A few days after the murder, Liz reached out to Dave and told him that she had been getting threatening messages from Cari too. Turning Cari into a crazy ex-girlfriend allowed Liz to strengthen her bond with Dave, as they became each other's pillars of support. And to make herself a more convincing victim, Liz scheduled messages from Cari to go out to her and Dave while they were together. But Liz wasn't happy with just making Cari seem like an obnoxious ex-girlfriend. She wanted everyone to think she was a psychotic stalker. Liz took it a step further and filed a police report at the Douglas County Police Station, accusing Cari of harassment. Surprisingly, the police station that took this report is only 30 minutes away from the police station that took Cari's missing persons report. If that doesn't strike you as odd, I don't know. Liz's plans went on without a hitch. But on January 10th, 2013, about 2 months later, Dave saw a familiar vehicle parked near his apartment. Police confirmed that the vehicle belonged to Cari, and it was taken back to the police impound for processing. Police found a tin of mints and a fingerprint smudged on the lid. They ran the print to their database, but no matches showed up, and it didn't match to Cari's print either. Police believed Cari was a stalker and assumed her car was abandoned. And though the investigation to find her continued, the case was not given any priority. Liz was able to continue her relentless antics. Cari's family and friends had no idea what was happening to Dave, or that Cari was suspected of being responsible for it. While Cari was gone, her son Max turned 15, and her father Dennis passed away. Still, Cari never showed up to any family gatherings. Her family continued to receive pathetic apology text after pathetic apology text for not being able to attend. Liz assumed she was pulling off the perfect crime and wasn't trying too hard to convince her family that they were talking to Cari. She wanted to focus her attention on Dave and get Cari's family off her back. To do that, she posted this on Facebook. "I've answered enough questions to prove myself to everyone. I am done. You can either believe that I am your daughter, mother, sister, and friend that you have known your whole life, or you can just leave me alone. I have proven myself over and over, and I'm done. I left on my own free will, and I am sick of everyone giving me a hard time for doing what I needed to do. I am not missing. I just don't want to come home right now. I am a grown woman, and if I feel like leaving home, I have the right. I asked my son Maxwell James, to come with me, but you didn't want to. So when I'm ready to come back home, I will. I'm sorry for hurting everyone and just up and leaving. I know I have upset some of you, but I needed to do this for me. Sorry, and I hope someday you can forgive me. I love you all very much, but I need time still to sort things out." With Cari's family off her back, Liz could now put all her focus back on Dave. She came up with the perfect idea to have Dave falling right into her lap. She sent him another email, pretending to be Cari. Dave frantically texted and then called Liz to make sure she was okay. But Liz answered the phone laughing because she thought someone must be pranking him.
And it's a picture of what looks like Liz tied up in the trunk of a car. And it says, I have Liz tied up in the trunk of the car, and you need to call her right now and tell her you hate her. She's a whore, otherwise I'm going to kill her.
Liz went through all that trouble to make herself look like she was kidnapped and placed in the trunk of a car. But for what reason? Only she knows. On August 17th, 2013, Liz felt like it was time to turn up the heat, taking her obsession with Dave to a whole new level.
Calls me. It says, my house is on fire. Now, I don't know what to think. What do you mean your house is on fire? So I went over, and sure enough, there's 2 big fire trucks in the street. Fire trucks all up and down the street, and there's firemen walking around, and there's hoses, and they're pouring water into place.
Liz's house, where she lived with her 2 kids, was seriously damaged. And, unfortunately, the fire also claimed the lives of all 4 of their pets, too. Liz called 911, claiming she knew who was responsible. She even provided email evidence.
What I've seen so far, looking at the sightings, it's pretty obvious this is an intentionally set fire.
The guy that I'm seeing, he has a girl that he dated for 2 weeks, and she's been stalking me since November.
Do you know her name?
It's Cari. Cari. She has made threats towards me and my kids. She would text me telling me she wanted to kill me and my kids. You would think they were married as much as she's stalking me. She won't leave me alone. She will not go away. I just wish she would go away.
Fire investigators discovered that the fire was created intentionally. Someone poured gasoline on multiple piles of clothes throughout Liz's home. If Liz was trying to make Dave feel guilty, it was definitely working.
I felt very bad for Liz because I felt like I brought this crazy person into her life.
Liz waited a couple more months before performing another act of vandalism in Cari's name.
Dave's auto shop is vandalized with a message for everyone to see. Dave beats women in fluorescent orange spray paint.
I tripped out. I mean, this is my job, and this is on a main street.
Afterwards, she went right back to her harassing emails and text messages routine. Not even nearly destroying her home and killing her pets was going to slow her down. This continued for over 3 years without any changes. Police searching for Cari, the missing person, or Cari the stalker had made no progress. Liz, being tech-savvy and skilled at manipulation, plus the cops messing up Cari's missing person case, made it look like Liz came out on top. She got away with murder, and the man she was obsessed with was wrapped around her fingers. Life, for Liz, couldn't be better. But that was all about to change when 2 new investigators took over Cari's missing person case in Iowa. As the years went on and no new leads surfaced into the disappearance of Cari Farver, the case seemed to be going cold. But 2 new officers, Deputy Avis and Sergeant Doty, volunteered to put fresh eyes on the case. But unlike previous investigators who worked on the case, Doty decided to pursue it from a different angle. He treated the case as if Cari was dead.
We found not one person had heard her voice, not one person had actually seen her.
She hadn't got employment anywhere else. Her checking account hadn't been used.
You start to wonder, like, how could someone survive without any financial means? There was literally no sign that showed Cari was still alive.
It didn't take them long to figure out that someone had been impersonating Cari. But who was to blame? Avis and Doty learned there was another investigation involving Cari in Omaha, Nebraska. The officers started sifting through the evidence to see if they could put the pieces together between both cases, and they found that there was something in the Omaha case that didn't add up. Liz. Liz and Cari didn't know each other. They saw each other once for a split second. Dave hooked up with many women after his breakup with Amy, so why was Cari so focused on Liz? Dave never had a close relationship with Liz, and definitely didn't plan on it happening anytime soon. Nothing about Liz's involvement with Cari made sense to them. While looking through Liz's harassment complaints on Cari, Doty and Avis discovered that investigators had requested phone downloads from Liz and Dave's cell back in early 2013. What they found on Liz's phone was shocking. Liz had called Cari's home phone 6 times between November 6th and 7th, just a few days before Cari disappeared. They also found a picture of the back of Cari's car. The image was taken weeks before Dave had found Cari's car in his neighborhood. They couldn't believe that previous investigators overlooked such a vital piece of evidence. Knowing a fingerprint was found inside Cari's car, Doty and Avis decided to have it compared to fingerprints they had of Liz. They matched. After finding evidence that proved Liz was somehow involved in Cari's disappearance, the investigators decided to warn Dave. As investigators continued breaking down the truth behind Cari's disappearance, Liz realized there was another setback in her plan to win over Dave. But this time, it wasn't the police that she was worried about. Late in 2015, Liz found out that Dave was considering getting back together with Amy. She now had new competition for Dave's heart and attention, and she didn't like that. When Dave wasn't looking, Liz stole the gun he had bought to protect himself in case Cari ever showed up at his doorstep. On December 4th, 2015, Liz went to the police to file a new harassment complaint. This time, she had her eyes set on Amy Flora as her next victim. Liz is now claiming that she believes Amy was the culprit behind all the harassment she and Dave received over the past 3 years, not Cari. She also mentioned that someone had stolen her boyfriend's 9mm handgun. Liz spoke with Deputy Avis, who pretended to know nothing about the case. He asked if he could use her phone to gather more evidence. Liz happily agreed without batting an eye. Avis took the phone to the cybercrimes team to see what they could find. While investigators searched for more concrete evidence, Liz wasn't done trying to ruin Amy's life. She had just begun. The next day, on the night of December 5th, 2015, Liz walked down a trail in Big Lake Park, Iowa. She took out Dave's gun, shot herself in the leg, and then tossed the gun in the lake to get rid of the evidence.
911, what's the address of your emergency?
Oh, yeah. I've been shot in the leg. Oh. Oh, Jesus.
Desperate times called for desperate measures.
First by the sheriff's department. Your leg is soaked in blood.
Do you know what she looked like at all?
No, she's behind me.
Liz told the police she didn't know who shot her, but she did say she recognized the voice of the shooter. She said it was Amy Flora. Liz was rushed to the hospital, and doctors removed the bullet from her leg. At this point, do you think Liz was questioning her life choices? Had she gone too far, or, in her mind, had she not gone far enough? Police didn't buy her story, but they questioned Amy anyway. Of course, she had a solid alibi, and no one else was seen in the park that night.
That Liz Gollier had been shot out here, I found it highly suspicious that the day before, she felt the need to tell me that Dave Krupa's gun had been stolen too, and less than 24 hours later, she is shot.
At this point, Liz was only digging herself a painfully deeper hole, and Dave had finally seen the light.
It was undeniable at that point. I knew it was her, and I knew it had to be my gun. The first thing my mind did was start to go back to all the things that had happened over all these years And how did I not see anything? And how could I be so naive or so stupid or so gullible? Everything you thought you knew was a lie.
Eventually, investigators connected every single text message and email sent by Cari since her disappearance to a device owned by Liz. 2 weeks after Liz shot herself in the leg, on December 14th, Sergeant Doty interviewed Liz under the impression that they were working on Cari's missing persons case, and they claimed that they had found her remains. But at this point, Liz had nothing to say about Cari. Her priority was Amy.
She was with him for 12 years. And she still goes in and out of his life all the time. So.
Yeah. So you think she could be the person that did some of that stuff to you?
I'm just saying, as another person who would be possessive of Dave, it would be her.
Doty played along to find a way to get more evidence on Liz. Investigators were concerned that what they had so far wasn't going to be enough to convict her.
In my head, I'm thinking if she was bold enough to go and then shoot you, okay, she could easily be bold enough to have done something to Cari.
So, Doty told Liz if she received any messages from Amy that proved she murdered Cari, they could put Amy away. They didn't have to wait long for Liz to take the bait. She still believed that she was holding on the cards, so she typed up some very descriptive emails in Amy's name. 7 days later, Liz had the evidence she believed they needed. In one email, Liz, pretending to be Amy, said, "Cari tried to attack me, so I took a knife and stabbed her 3 or 4 times in the chest and stomach area, then took her out and burned her before stuffing her into a garbage bag." But 6 weeks later, police still hadn't arrested Amy, and Liz was not happy. Sergeant Doty called Liz and told her that they still needed more details.
Gets to shoot somebody, and then she gets to kill another person, and then she gets to move in with Dave, and she gets to be free, and you guys aren't arresting her.
Well, I'm sorry. I was trying to build a case. We were close, but we were just a couple steps away.
So, on February 4th, Liz gave them more. This email said, "I really did kill Cari, and I did it in her own car." Without realizing it, Liz just gave the investigators a vital piece of evidence: the crime scene. Investigators tore apart Cari's car and found bloodstains on the passenger seat. Blood that matched Cari's DNA. Liz ended up in a situation she never saw coming, handcuffed in a police interrogation room. Even though she was caught red-handed, Liz was not about to confess.
No. The reason why you're in this chair right now today is because you have a lot of questions that you need to answer for me. Her phone was at your house right after she disappeared. And I want to ask you how you can explain that to me, please.
She's never been to my house.
Your fingerprints are inside her vehicle. How would your fingerprints be inside her vehicle?
I don't know, because I've never been in her car.
You drove her car.
No, I didn't. I've never been inside her car. I've never even been around her car. Ever.
Your fingerprints are there.
No, I haven't. I'm not lying. I've never been around her car. I've never even seen it.
For years and years, people have been sending emails under Cari's fictitious accounts. The IP addresses show up to whose house? Your house.
I haven't had internet at my house.
Are you gonna sit in this chair and be remorseful? Are you gonna sit in this chair and be cold-blooded? Because right now, after 4 years, this family's been looking for answers. Why would you create all these emails?
I haven't created any emails.
All these have been coming from your
not.
house.
Then I'm not going to be accused of something that I didn't do.
The finger's pointing right at you.
No. Then I'm done talking, and I'm going to have my attorney, because I didn't do anything.
Okay.
During the interrogation, Doty and Avis obtained a search warrant and went into Liz's home. Inside, they found Liz had 2 cameras that belonged to Cari. On one of the cameras, they found a video Cari had recorded just 2 days before her murder.
So Thursday night, apparently somebody here in the whopping metropolis of Macedonia, Iowa decided Max's Explorer was not the right color. We're gonna go see if we can fix that. Somebody thought they were quite the artist. There's some all over the hood.
Without a confession or a body, police had to let Liz go and continue to build a strong enough case against her. On December 22nd, 2016, over 4 years since Cari's murder, Liz was finally arrested. But evidence continued to pile up even after Liz's arrest. Investigators were still digging through the mountains of data on her devices, and they came across the smoking gun they were looking for. Liz's souvenir photo. An image of Cari's decomposing left foot, that happened to have an easily identifiable tattoo on the top. A Chinese symbol, when translated, means mother. It was the closest to finding Cari's body that they were ever going to get. On May 10, 2017, Liz's murder trial began. And 14 days later, a verdict was reached.
Shanna Golyar is sentenced to life in prison plus 18 to 20 years by Judge Timothy Burns for first-degree murder and arson. Judge Burns convicted her with proof beyond a reasonable doubt of stabbing Cari Farver to death in 2012 outside her boyfriend's Omaha apartment.
With Liz behind bars, Cari's family and friends, including Dave and Amy, could finally move on.
She's got a life sentence now, but she also gave everybody else that loved Cari a life sentence. She took Cari's life. She gave my grandson a life sentence of not having his mother there, and all of the people that love her. We have to live with the nightmare that we had lived with for so long.
Last Sunday, Farver's family had a memorial for Cari by setting off lanterns. Farver wanted to be cremated and have her ashes thrown into the wind. Rainey wishes they could fulfill that request.
So, just remember, when you're swiping through Tinder or looking to meet someone for a good time at a bar, think long and hard before you welcome a stranger into your life. You never know what kind of monster they might actually be.